AOC says she would vote to fund Israel's Iron Dome now, but she has concerns. The representative also said discussing support for Israeli defense systems at this time is absolutely legitimate. This is coming from the NATO left, and I'm going to bring up that article in just a moment. Let's get to the video, because there's video that accompanies this. She was on CNN with Abby Phillips. But let's listen to this. This has gone viral.
A couple of years ago, there was a vote in Congress for funding for the Iron Dome, and you very publicly were torn, even emotional about your vote, which ultimately was present. You put out a statement saying that you opposed Iron Dome funding. I wonder, given everything that we've seen in this last week, the Iron Dome has essentially intercepted thousands of rockets from Hamas. Do you believe now that that funding is essential? Would you vote for it today?
And to be clear, at that time, I had voted present on the Iron Dome funding because of what we had seen previously that year in terms of Netanyahu's decisions, which also resulted in the bombing of several buildings that contain media agencies, civilian targets. However, I do think that in this present moment, when we discuss support for Israeli defense systems, that is absolutely legitimate. I think it is absolutely something that whose support we can. So
you would vote yes today?
You see how she's stuttering. She knows this is terrible. She knows. That's why she's stuttering. So let's see if we can listen to the word salad here.
The bombing of several buildings that contain media agencies, civilian targets. However, I do think that in this present moment, when we discuss support for Israeli defense systems, that is absolutely legitimate. I think it is absolutely something that whose support we can. So
you would vote yes today if it came to the United States Congress, additional funding for the Iron Dome?
I think if it was explicitly around that. I have concerns about white phosphorus. I have concerns about the respect for about human rights and ensuring that we have humanitarian aid going through. But on the sole principle of Iron Dome and defense, I absolutely think there's an openness for sure.
I want to get you.
How many of you guys who voted for her and supported her and donated to her, how many of you wanted her to do this when you were donating and helping her get elected? Y'all was like, this is what we want her to do. Advocate for the Iron Dome. Let's listen to some reaction. AOC didn't hesitate to express her support for additional funding for Israel's defense, and that's in quotes, asserting that it's legitimate. That same Israeli defense just bombed a hospital in Gaza, killing more than 500 people. U.S. politicians have blood on their hands, and the people who advocate for them do too. Sam Cedar, TYT, and the whole bunch. Rational National, Emma Vigeland, Sam Cedar, Kyle Kalinske, Crystal Ball. I'm going to get to that video in just a second here. Here is Eric London. He's a writer for the World Socialist website. And he says, within hours of Israelis striking a hospital and killing at least 500 people, AOC says she would have voted yes to give $1 billion to Israeli military if vote were held today. I'm sure the dead children of Gaza were very grateful that she still has a humanitarian concern. And that is a great, great point. What is your humanitarian concern? What does that do? What is that worth, really? So let's go to this part first. Here's her crying because of her vote. This is her trying to gain sympathy for a vote she knows is terrible. So again, this was several years ago, famous vote where she voted, I believe she voted no or present or something like that. She voted present on it and pulled off this whole theater on the House floor that she was so emotional because it was such a terrible vote and she felt bad or something like that. Here is that video. Let's take a jog down memory lane.
I informed the House that Ms. Lawson will vote nay House Resolution 483 amendments. Also will vote nay.
So I'm going to try to read as fast because it's good to read what they're saying on the screen. Let me just try to read it as fast as I can. AOC received backlash after she appeared to cry on the House floor after voting to give $1 billion to Israel to restore its Iron Dome missile intercept system. AOC had apparently changed her vote from no to present at the last minute. As the House passed a bill for additional funding by an overwhelming 420 to 9, AOC had earlier led an attempt by the squad to withhold military funding to aid, and some people on social media slammed her for shedding crocodile tears. Despicable. But we're supposed to feel sorry for her now, but she's now has completely made a U-turn and said, "Oh no, I don't feel sorry no more. That was a complete mistake." Let's bring up the article instead of just reading a snippet. Let me bring up the full article so that I can read part of it. This comes from the leftvoice.org. House votes $1 billion for Israeli war machine without opposition from AOC. Last night, with the help of DOC endorsed Representative Jamal Bowman and AOC, the House of Representatives approved $1 billion in funding for Israeli Iron Dome missile interceptor. And there's her bullshit. Last night, the House of Representatives approved $1 billion in new funding for Israeli Iron Dome missile interceptors. That's another $1 billion for Israeli military, which continues to level Palestinian cities and murder children. The final vote in the House was 420 to 9, with 2 people voting present, notably Jamal Bowman, a DSA-endorsed representative from New York, voted yes, and AOC changed her vote from no to present. 1 Republican voted against the measure. It's clear that support for apartheid and ethnic cleansing of Palestinians is bipartisan. This vote comes after the House of Representatives voted 316 to 113 for a $740 billion annual defense bill, which was $24 billion more than President Biden had even requested. The Iron Dome funding initially seemed to be in danger as members of the progressive wing of the Democratic Party threatened to tank the bill. It was attached to over increased funding for Israeli army. However, only a day after the provision for military aid to Israel was taken out, it was put back on the floor as a standalone bill. It was later revealed that Yair Lapid, Israel's foreign minister of affairs, called the U.S. House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer to demand that the funding be pushed through. Hoyer explained that the progressive opposition to the bill was merely a technical delay. This is the best we have.